Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome to Pro Cycling Manager 2020. This is Career Mode episode number 1. For anyone who's been around the channel for a while, you know that this is my main staple. We will have new content every single day this year for PCM 20. And in the Career Mode, we are going for the biggest challenge possible. We're going to have a custom team. We're going to start down at Continental level. We are going to have maximum extreme difficulty. Playing on extreme difficulty, we begin with the worst team imaginable to make this a true challenge. Here's the team. Minimum riders, just 10, all at that minimum pay scale. And they are all at virtually the lowest attributes possible. And some of the riders aren't even young to begin with. So we have 30-year-old, 25-year-old, 40-year-old, 22-year-old. The rest are 18 at minimums. So we start with 0 quality. They are all not even domestique level, as they are really below that. Now, the only saving grace is that we may have some potential out of some of these younger guys. Let's find out. They're all from different nations, so there is 0 consistency in that. Our 30-year-old has no potential. Luckily, his contract will run out this season. 25-year-old will be back next season. He's got a little bit of potential, so he'll improve a bit. Our 40-year-old will end their career this season and have no potential, so they're not going to grow at all. Lunenburg, 18-year-old with a little bit of potential, so that's encouraging. What is their training set up for? Beardor? No, let's change that to stage races. Okay, Puchek is going to be back next season and has a ton of potential, so the Czech rider here looks like our top candidate. They're set as a time trialist, and you know what, let's change this up also to stage racer. They'll develop quality attributes that way. Rico, yeah, they're not going anywhere. Let's see, Sakamoto, not much potential. Saskic does have some potential. That's good. Definitely take them off Beardor and maybe go to Sprinter is fine. They're already classified as Sprinter. Not that anybody with a 52 really deserves to be classified in any way, shape, or form. Valetti, no potential. And that's it. So we have 2 riders with potential that we're likely going to want to hang on to throughout this series and allow them to develop. The other 8 are cannon fodder. Thanks to absolutely no quality, our sponsor has actually been relatively kind to us. They've only given us 3 objectives for the entire season, and we're making almost $50,000 a month, which is okay. There's potential for the budget to more than double down the road, and so that's something to work with. The 3 objectives: 2 top 10s and a stage win. Both of these are classics, so one-day races. Fairly flat, little punchy on that one, and yeah, no hope there, but at least there's that. It shouldn't do too much damage. Of course, noteworthy results, registered riders, and the squad evaluation are nothing. But because there's only 3 races, there's a little bit of hope there for us. But not only is there only 3 races that are objectives, we've only been graced with 4 races, period, for the entire year. Now, I don't mind that because this first season, I want to fly through this first season. And our chances of actually getting invites to other races, really bad. Really, really, really bad. But we're going to try to put out a few invites in the coming days and see if we can't, maybe double the size of this. Get one race a month or something. Because new this year, very neat feature that adds a lot of realism to what you're doing is morale, though it existed in the game previously, actually exists in a tangible way now that affects your race day condition pretty significantly, and what it already affected whether riders will re-sign or not in the future. Over the first 6 months on the calendar, I attempted to gain entry to over 30 events. Reply, in all 30 cases, was a negative. So we really are stuck with 4 races. Possibly, if I perform well, which isn't going to happen, maybe down the road in the final months we might be able to gain entry. But at this point, it's looking like this first year we get a whopping 4 races. One piece of good news is I do have a pretty good scout, and that pretty good scout has found a number of riders already. Just a month into the season, we're going to be able to look closely at one of those. Looks like we have a 57, a 59, a 56, and a 58 on those with the best potential, which really is not good. 63, there's a 65, 63, 61. So in every case, we're looking pretty poor. So if any one of these deserves anything, we've got a 59 flat, 67 downhill. I'm kind of thinking this might be our guy. 58 overall. Let's. Alright, that's who we're gonna watch, I suppose. It's, pretty weak, actually, all things considered. Normally we do end up with a 5 to 8, which is the highest, and somebody in their mid-60s or upper 60s. None of that. So, welcome to the gutter. So as I try to navigate the early part of the season, I'm getting a head start on what I know I need to do this season. The main goal is to sign riders who could actually ride and get us going somewhere beyond the very, very back of the peloton and not finishing last in possibly every single race. So a quick search of contracts up at the end of the year for riders that are under 25 from the US, which is our main sponsor, and it'll make them happy to have some riders from the US. This becomes my start point. So only 7. There's only 7 riders that do not have a contract next season from the US. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign my scout to get scouting reports on each and every one of them, which will give me a bit of a head start on learning a bit about these riders so that we have an idea of which ones to sign for. Now, just right off the top of my head, looking at this, Vermark is probably going to be our number 1 target because I don't think we're going to get 70s and above. I do think that signing a 67 is possible. Petrov, definitely a likely candidate as well as Voigt. These guys in the low mid 60s are definitely in reach, and it looks like we already have a scouting evaluation low potential on Simon Jones, and really not good either. He's a 58 hill. He's got a little bit of sprint capability compared to my current riders, but he looks unlikely to be a target for us. I find it interesting that I've reached the opening of dossiers before we've even had our first race of the year. It's so awkward to me, but here we are. It's May the 1st. We're almost to our first race. We'll be there in a moment. But it's time to open dossiers. Now, for those unfamiliar with the game, this is where we build interest in riders we hope to sign. What you do in that is you increase the likelihood of signing them you also increase the likelihood of signing them for less than what you would have to spend otherwise. And in the case of a team like mine that literally has zero reputation and has never even partaken in a race to this point, we have zero hope of signing a rider like Matthew Van Der Poel or Primoz Roglic. So not only do we have zero chance of signing them, but we literally have zero chance of even opening a dossier on them. Our reputation is so low that it would take 80 dossier points just to open a dossier on Van Der Poel alone. We only have 30 points. Now, by the signing period, that'll expand to 60, but we would have to wait 2 weeks at a time to increase six points until we get to the signing period. Meaning, there is literally zero chance of going after a top-notch rider. At this point, the first one we even get down into something a little more manageable is 40 points for Cavagna, but still beyond our reach. And a 76, no chance that they are going to want to sign for a rider, a team of our caliber. So we go down the list until we get to something a little more manageable. Here, we get our first one that's a rider who seems a little more open to signing with pretty much anyone. It's only 10 points. And so Wouters, a sprinter, not bad for a sprinter, but at a 73, honestly, this is still way beyond my means. So we continue to scroll down. I think we need to get all the way down outside of the 70s, with the exception now we start to get into something a little more manageable. There is progress to be had in a couple of areas. One, riders that don't have a team currently. Riders that are sitting this season out. So Alexei Vermeulen, 25 years old, 15 points. Well, he's got no interest in us right now, but it could build with a decent amount of pace. But it's unlikely. Now, Logan Owen, low potential, 25 already. He's kind of maxed out at a 71. But for us, would be top-notch rider. Would cost me 10 points. He's already got some interest. This is where the other part of that comes in. Home country. We're an American team. He's an American rider. I'd rather have his wife, Chloe Dygert. If you've seen my women's tour series, you know who I'm talking about, or if you know the women's professional sport. Best time trialist in the world in the female ranks, Chloe Dygert, is married to Logan Owen. And she is located here in my home state of Washington. Not from here originally, though. We might open a dossier on Logan Owen. He might be the top guy we go for, but I think at a 71, we're not going to develop his interest much, and he's going to be really expensive to the point where he's going to price us right out of the market. So I think my start point, well, here's some 70s that are out there. We've got a little bit of interest in a couple of these guys who don't already have teams, but no. I think I'm going to start outside of that range, get into a 69 or a 68, and see what's available. So we have less points now as we're getting into some young guys. 3 points is all that's going to cost. There's already some interest. And yes, please. So, this is where we begin. And I will take whatever I can get. You are also a sprinter. Not as much base interest, but some base interest. Sprinters seem to be a little bit cheaper, as these guys are primarily lead-out riders. Barradors are always much cheaper. Devani, Argentine rider. He's okay. Not bad. And you can see we're also getting really thick in the number of riders available. Alright, so here's the list of dossiers. We do have one a little bit better rider who we're after, a few of them really. But we've got some guys that already have a decent amount of interest. It's really hard for a team of my caliber to develop interest, period. So if you start with 0 to 15, there's very little chance you're going to get it up. Best chances lie in those who don't currently have teams. That helps. But we have 4 American targets that we're going after right now. And really, we're not going to be able to sign many riders, period, as I actually only have 3 expiring contracts. And one of those is one of the couple that I actually want to hang on to. So we're in a little bit of trouble in terms of space for this upcoming season. This could take us a little while to get this team up and running and get out of Continental. Alright, this is it. First race of the year. Now, most races throughout the calendar, I wouldn't bother going from the very start. We'd go middle towards end of a stage or of the race. But in this case, as it's the first one of the year, we will get in here from the beginning. So, as for who I ride for in a race like this, our objective is top 10. Easier said than done. We're really not looking like the kind of team that can put up much of a fight when this thing gets serious. But that doesn't mean I won't give it my best effort, and that doesn't mean it won't actually happen. There's still a chance that we could crack the top 10. Now, the undulation, the hilliness of this course means probably not, because my riders aren't anywhere near the level required to go quick enough or to have the energy to survive very many climbs at all. If it was completely flat, we'd have a little bit better of a shot. Now, first things first, especially for those who are new to PCM, I am dead consistent on this. Most riders do this, most players do this, but not all. And for me, that is, I bring my team to the front immediately. I don't leave them on effort, I don't leave them on relay. I put them on maintain position once they get there. If you're using effort, if you're using relay, you're using extra energy. If you're on maintain, you only use what energy is necessary. Now, the reason for that, things happen. Punctures, crashes. In the rain, crashes happen a lot. The further up the field you are, the better your chances are that when something does happen, you recover quickly and you don't lose contact, or at least you're close enough to be able to get back into the field. Also, gaps happen, especially as you get later in a race. So once gaps start to appear, even if your rider has energy, if a gap appears in front of them, that's it. It's race over most of the time. It's really hard to make up those gaps, especially with a team like mine that literally has no quality. So, getting to the front is safe. Also, bringing your team together provides some bonuses, things that are going to help you out a bit. We're going to get to that in just a second as our last rider, Waspak, finally makes his way to the front of the field. You can already see fatigue starting to set in some of my riders, and we've only just started the stage. We have 150 kilometers to go. Not a good sign. So first thing, I like to set a resting rate of mid-70s. This team, as poor as it is, I might even have to set that a little bit higher, as our flat rating is a 55 for a lot of these guys. So that means we're actually pretty dang slow, which means you have to ride a little bit harder to maintain your position. But that all depends, when you're on maintained position, that all depends on the pace being set at the front. Right now, yeah, we're okay. Alright, so here's the main thing to look out for. All of these riders are essentially domestiques. So the best thing going for any of them is race day condition. So Puchek. Okay, Puchek has a +5 race day condition. The best you can have. He is super stoked about this race today, which is awesome, because he really shouldn't be. Morale on the entire team is low because it's May and this is their first race. So they haven't been to races and they're bummed about it. Like, super bummed. So here we are entering this first race. He's got 87% fitness levels, so it's not super high. He shouldn't have a +5 race day condition. He should probably have about a -1 or a -2. Yet here he is. So hooray. With that +5, his base attributes in the white here, the green is that +5 effect. So his stamina, instead of a 54, it's a 63 today. He's going to last a lot longer than he would in a normal race. His resistance, again, 63. That flat rating, not a huge change, but a 56 is still better than a 52. So we will absolutely ride for him, because his mountains and hills, certainly higher today than it would be. So we'll take somebody who's having a really bad day, and we're going to use them to protect Puchek and let him last a little bit longer. Khalifa is my strongest rider on paper. Also has a positive race day condition. Sakamoto has a negative, so we'll use him to protect. Lunenberg, yeah, huge negative today. He's sick, so a little bit sick. Not good timing on that. Jaime is like straight 55s, and that's definitely our next strongest, so we'll protect him as well. And Wasbach will ride solo. You can see already just the slightest little hill, and my riders are kind of drifting back a little bit. We've got 108 kilometers to go. I need to get water here soon, but I want to wait until we get to the top of this peak so that we actually have some sort of hope. Wasbach, you're riding solo. Why don't you go ahead and drop back and get us some water. Takes one rider to do it. If you screw it up and wait too long, you can end up with your entire team going back to get water for themselves. Alright, so he brought water to his teammates. That's the blue water bottle. So blue means water. That means it's full. When it grays out, it's empty. Look at Wasbach already dropping. In fact, my entire team just got dropped officially from the Peleton. That's how slow we are. They drifted this far back. Wasbach is out out the back, even though he still has energy, and we're up to a mid-80s. He was still at about an 80-81. He was still sliding back from the rest of these guys. Let's hope this comes back together. Otherwise, we are really, really in for a world of hurt, in that literally the entire team is just wasting away, and it does look like it. So we're going to set you to auto. Let's hope you get back in contact, but Lunenberg drifting back here. We'll set him to auto as well, but these guys even at an 83, 85, look how quickly they're going back. So yeah, riding tempo, not good. These guys just hanging on. And now they're out too. So half the team's been dropped, and we still have 70 kilometers to go in this thing. These guys are really bad. Don't forget, we are playing on extreme difficulty, so the other riders are making life difficult on us. Also, by the way, one of the big changes for PCM 20, if you are familiar with the game, is a much more aggressive AI this year. They attack a lot more often, and you can see the punishment that they are inflicting. The breakaway has nearly been caught. Peleton, while it's come back together, it's shrinking very quickly. And my last 3 riders, they're all right here, and we all just got dropped. And with little energy left, there's very little help. So Puchek, the one that's hanging on. So Khalifa, you're going to protect Puchek, and Jaime is going to try to bridge this gap, at least to this group. Safety in numbers, 32 riders. We might have a chance of getting back up. And no. No, we do not. So right now, it's all for Puchek. We've got another climb here. We might be able to bridge the gap a little bit, but again, with a bunch of low domestiques, we really are too weak just to even hang on to the peloton here. And now Puchek is alone, and we're still well off the back. I'm just hoping that he, because we are over the top, that this group regains contact. But we are currently 2:45 behind the front of the field. Alright, let me set these 2 guys to auto, let them do their own thing, and we literally ride with our last rider. Puchek needs water. Hand up, don't drop the group. There you go. Alright, so 21 riders. He's not going to do any riding at the front. He literally has no hope if that's the case. He's just got to hope that the riders here are strong enough to gather with the 7 in front of us. And then as our numbers build, that maybe, just maybe, we can regain contact with the peloton later on. This is the biggest climb of the day right now, and Puchek is done. He's out of energy, and he's been dropped by the group. So there went his chances of regaining contact. There's a large group behind me that might help us regain contact, and we're almost to this group. Okay, we're back in the group. And Puchek has recovered a little bit. That's a good sign. See, blinking red at 91. That's a bad sign. And that was just a little uphill. 3 more climbs to go and 1 little hill to the finish, and we are well out the back of the peloton. Okay, we made it over the little hill, but again, almost out of energy. This next climb, I think I'm going to be finished. Let's use my gel now for this climb.
The riders have just passed the 15 kilometers road sign. Several riders are on the ground, but it doesn't look too serious.
That was the group behind me. Big crash where that was my group, possibly. Just behind where I'm at. Again, reason to be at the front. You don't get collected as often. Okay, gel kicks in, but we are out of energy, so Puchek, you're just going to have to kind of sit in with the group as best you can. No, he's out of energy now, so a bunch of guys go forward, and a bunch of guys drift back, and we're with that group. And we're losing a ton of time on this climb. We went from 4 minutes to 5.5 up that climb. 6. So we lost 2 minutes on that climb. Shorter climb. 1 final climb to go. Way outside of the top 10. Lunenburg very well could be the last rider on the road. That's how bad we are. And here we go. Final 3 kilometers. The leader's just now reaching the finish, so we're not that far behind them. And here we go, up this final hill. Edwin Avila for the win. 3 riders there at the finish. Stuart Bax, one that I'm familiar with. He's been on one of my teams before. Takes 4th place. 1.5 kilometers. Wow, still a little bit longer than I thought. Alright. Well, there go your top 10, and there's still a lot of guys in front of me. There's your top 20. There's the finish. Wuchek will be the first one there. He's probably around 50th. 63rd. That was the best rider we could get to the end. And that's what this season's going to be like, especially on a stage like this. I can finish much higher than 63rd on a sprint stage. Anything with climbing, whether it's a punchy stage or a true mountain stage, we're going to be well behind the field. So here's the bad news. I was hoping, with only a few objectives and that they were very minimal, that we would get a certain amount of I suppose you could say a minimalist approach to it from the sponsor. Not the case. First objective, abject failure. It's only a half star. That's why I was hoping for a minimal impact. We were right at 1% in the success range. So we were maybe a 66% was our base. One race, one failure, and we dropped to 35%, 36%. So we lost about 30% from that one race. Now, right now, everything is seen as a total failure. So the next race hopefully doesn't drop us much further. But it still could. Looking at our results page, it's not seen as a 0. And it probably could go lower. And nothing else is going to go higher. And we're not going to get any noteworthy results. So what do the last 2 races have for us? Well, the next one, fairly flat. Much flatter than this one was anyway. So that's going to help. That's going to help a lot. But the last one, they require a stage win with a couple punchy stages and a flat, and there's no way. Second place doesn't get you anything on those results. So this next race, our whole season's going to come down to this race, and it's tomorrow, and it's going to be in the next episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see more, hit subscribe, and expect new episodes, new content, 4 times a week for this series, with episode number 2 coming tomorrow. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.